Thanks for coming round. We'll make you laugh before you go. Welcome to the Mermen. Welcome to the show.
So wait, he was at CVS and he thought he was going to get signatures to take to Gavin Newsom for something?
Why are you like we're in mid conversation?
Because I gotta get out of the way. It bothers
but
me.
we're recording. Do you want us to include everybody that's listening?
That's why I'm asking now. Okay, so you were at CVS.
Yeah, but
from the top.
You think this is like a continuation from last episode?
Hey guys, welcome to the Mermen podcast. Before we started recording, Forrest was telling me about an experience he just had. Please fill in the viewers, Forrest.
And listeners. I just went to on Comedy Records Network.
You went on there and watched it on YouTube?
No, I'm just saying. I just said Comedy Records. Get this away from me. It's too close.
It's my water bottle.
I know. It's
I'm a water
close.
bottle guy now.
I don't like it.
I always made fun of my wife because she's got like 40 of these things, and I'm like, why do you? And she's like, there's different ones for different situations, and I'm like, it seems expensive. And now I have 3 of them.
I was saying we're on the Comedy Records Network, podcast network. We don't say that at the
top. We should play that.
I just did another podcast on their network the other day.
Oh.
Where's the Bar Cart?
Oh,
I think they're gonna have you on it.
Oh, I was gonna say, why wasn't I invited?
Well, not together. What are you? It's
we're the Mermen now, bro. We're a team.
I mentioned you. They said they're gonna have you on there.
Cool. I mentioned you too this weekend at this awesome comedy club I was at.
Yeah, I was gonna go.
First quarter. Can I tell you something sincere?
What? Okay. Oh no. What?
I like doing this podcast because it gives us an excuse to talk to each other, and I talk to you almost every day now, and it's easy to get like lost in the shuffle, and sometimes we would go months without talking, and it just means a lot to me.
I see you a lot now.
Yeah.
In LA, you live on the west side. I used to live on the east side. Now I live in the valley. But if you live in LA, you don't see each other that often.
So I think this podcast is good for our relationship.
A little too close. You ask me, this fucking table is not wide enough. We got to get a bigger table.
Man, I wish I could hug you right now.
I was just at CVS. I was getting my flu vaccine. Do you get a flu vaccine?
Oh, I've gotten them at times, but
Get them every year.
Yeah, I got one at the beginning of COVID for sure. When everyone was like, it's most important this year than ever.
I used to get, when I started doing comedy and I would get on planes, as we do, I would get the flu like twice a year because I don't care how healthy you are. There's just fuckheads on planes that you should, look, if you're on a plane and you're sick, I don't care if it's COVID or anything, wear a mask. Like you should have been wearing them like 20 years ago. But you get on a plane and then someone's like, and they're like, allergies. Right, it's allergies? Sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's
How
allergies.
about these guys who come and do like bar shows around town and they're like, hey man, can I go early? I'm sick. Or hey man, after their set, they're like, I hope you don't mind if I don't hang around, man. I'm kind of sick and I have to drag myself out here.
Can I go early?
Cough all over your mic that everyone else is talking into.
Yeah. I want to go early and put everything on the mic, get everyone else sick.
I get it if you're on the road and they promoted you're going to be there and you got to suck it up and do your headline set or whatever. Yeah. But no one's going to miss you if you don't go to freaking Mike around sorry, I got a burp stuck up over there.
Yeah, good point.
That you're not even getting paid for. Like, don't be a hero, dude. There's this one dude in the LA comedy scene. I won't say his name. But I know for a fact that dude's gotten me sick at least twice. Where he came out to my bar shows and he's a close talker. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, hey, do you think I could do a spot tonight? And I'm like, no, I told you couldn't. And you showed up anyways. And he's like, then I'm probably just going to go home because I'm not feeling so good. And I go, get the hell out of my face, bro.
Anyways, so I would get the flu probably twice a year just on a plane because somebody would be fucking hacking or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're like, and you could identify exactly who it was. And you're like, well, I wish I knew who that person's name was. I'd go to their house and I'd give them a piece of my mind. Anyways, my mom was the one. She said, you should get the flu shot. And I was like, whatever. What am I, a pussy? I'm not getting a flu shot.
Yeah, vaccines are for the devil.
I started getting a flu shot at this time every year is when you're supposed to get it. And then I never got the flu again. What? Wonder how that happened. And not saying that you never felt like you could feel it kind of coming on. And then it would just like, you'd be like, for a week, you'd kind of have like a little thing in your throat.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't get the flu. Now, I will say with the flu shot, there's years where they nail it and there's years they don't because it like travels around the world, the flu, and we're like at the end of that kind of cycle where they're like tinkering with it. So we're in like in a good spot in the world where they're tinkering with the flu vaccine to when it gets here. So there are years where it's not as good as other years. That's why when I got it, I'm like, how is it this year? And she goes, oh, it's pretty good. I'm like, what am I, such a dad?
What, you mean they don't have it dialed in exactly? Like when everyone was like, Fauci doesn't know what he's talking about. He changed his mind. And blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, because information is changing all the time, every day.
God, I wonder what his comment sections are like. But so anyways, I got that. I've already gotten the second booster. So, pro vaccine.
I would even take it further than it's not even just getting on planes. Like when I started doing comedy real heavy in South Florida and we'd go out and, MC at the Hard Rock and whatever, I would just always get sick just from shaking people's hands. Like there's 300 people lined up to shake your hand and half of them are drunk. So they close talk you and they're like, hey, I got a joke for you. I got a joke. And they're just breathing in your face. And
they're spitting a lot of times.
Yeah.
Then the other thing on planes too is that when people are sick on planes now, like there was a guy hacking across the aisle from me the other day and he goes, don't worry, it's not COVID. I'm like, I don't want whatever it is you have. Like, I don't like colds either. Yeah. Those suck, especially like as you get older, like colds, flu, like none of that shit's fun. Like, I don't want any of that.
Yeah.
I don't even want it if it's just a sore throat. I don't want it. Like, leave it. Like, keep it. Keep it to yourself, buddy.
Yeah. I've been pretty sick the past few times we've recorded in here, and I just tried to keep it, on the down low so I didn't worry you guys.
Okay.
Anyways, you're welcome.
I was at CVS and there was a guy out front, and there was like usually this time of year. Well, as we get closer to the holidays, it'll be like the Santa or the guy, the people,
Salvation Army guys.
Salvation Army, whatever.
Santa, yeah,
I don't know, whatever that guy is.
Yeah. The bell, the jolly guy.
You're always like, hey, I got no cash, only use cards, and whatever you got to do. I hate kids. But this guy just had like a card table set up and some makeshift signs. He goes, yo, you want to sign a petition to tell Gavin Newsom to lower gas prices? I was like, what? Gavin Newsom's our governor of California, which everybody in the world seems to know, by the way. All my friends in Florida that are Republicans, all my friends in Florida, they always call me to tell me what Gavin Newsom's doing wrong. I'm like, I don't even know what Gavin Newsom's doing in my own state. Like
I know.
During COVID, at the beginning of COVID, one of my friends from Florida called me that as well. He's a friend of mine, and he goes, hey, have fun during Thanksgiving by yourself. I go, what do you mean? He goes, I just saw Gavin Newsom said that you can't have Thanksgiving with anybody. You have to stay in your own home. I go, I didn't even see that. I'm going to have Thanksgiving.
It affects their life way more than it affects our life.
At my friend's house. He goes, you're not allowed to. I'm like, well, I'm going to. He goes, they must think we're in like the Escape from New York scenario over here.
Totally.
So I'm like, we're fine, dude. Just fucking worry about your own place over there.
The networks that they watch on television don't bother to talk about like Iowa or Idaho or New Hampshire. It's just New York and California all day long. They're the enemy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I'll take it even a step further. My dad one time was like, man, so what's going on with your DA out there? Is he going to get recalled? And I go, my DA. He's like, hey, DA. He's like, what's his name? And I go, I didn't even know it was a real position. I thought it was just like a character in Batman. Like, I was
Law and Order.
Yeah, I don't have a clue who the DA is, nor how that affects my life directly.
Yeah, I don't. And the guy's like, you want to sign this? And I was like, maybe on the way out, dude. I don't know. Like, and then on the way out, he goes, you gonna sign it? I go, I'm good. He goes, you like high gas prices? I'm like, I mean, no.
It's so dope.
No. I was like, what? I go, wow.
It's so fun watching the numbers go.
Yeah. I go, what? If I sign this, how is this going to help? Was this going to Gavin? He's like, I didn't know this many people were upset about the gas prices.
Man.
Let me lower these right away. And he pulls the lever. Everything goes down immediately.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. There's this kook in my neighborhood now, and he... It's gotten to the point where it's so crazy. It's now comical. At first, it was like people were having rational discussions on each side because he made people aware, I guess. But now it's like gotten so ridiculous. People are just like, oh yeah, we should have paid attention to the font this guy was using on these papers he's typing up. He's obviously crazy. But when some of the restaurants were doing the outdoor dining during the pandemic, which by the way, they closed this one street off and made it a walkable street. And but everyone thought it was cool as shit. Everyone was like, "Oh, this is like a neat thing," that our community was able to get this.
People pay big money to live in those communities.
Yeah. So now they're finally gonna take that away. This New Year's is when it's all gonna end because now they can all just go back to their original setups. But this guy feels like one particular restaurant got preferential treatment over the other ones. So they got more outdoor space, you know, which it's just a product of the geography, you know, and any other restaurant could have had more of this. The city would have been like, hey man, we'll help you, whatever you need to be afloat. We want to help you, you know?
Yeah.
And so this guy, and now he thinks, because the guy who owns that restaurant is going to open another restaurant, and the mayor is one of the investors in the new restaurant. So he's like, they're in cahoots. He's like, it was preferential treatment. And then he picks these arbitrary numbers. He goes, that rent for that street and that seating should be $20,000 a month. So we should back charge them $20,000 a month and put it towards our schools. Yeah. And like, that's not really how life works.
Yeah. Just put it towards pencils and protractors.
Well, it wasn't costing money for them to be out there. It wasn't like...
Yeah. I always like that they think that like one person's in control of gas prices too. I'm like, you think that's who's in control of gas prices, by the way? Now, it's higher in California than other states because there's taxes that are on them for sure. But that's because there's certain states that take in environmental considerations, because there are environmental considerations with cars that run, and, you know, environmental considerations of air pollution, acid rain, things like that. We won't get into that, and the money does go to those places, but, you know, and then there's other states where like, we don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's $2.50 a gallon. Well, smoke them if you got them. And don't get me wrong, when I go to Florida, which I've gone to Florida a lot this year, it is awesome. When you're filling your tank, I'm like, holy shit. Like $40. I'm like, let's do it. But, you know, anyways, that's what happened over there at CVS.
Second quarter.
No, I voted too. I voted by mail.
I need to vote. I need to do a little more research. I need to do my research on something. I know who I
There's
want.
so many things you're not going to know. It's like I voted my. I'm not going to be here during the when you're supposed to vote, and it's like 8 pages, and there's all these things. Like, I don't know anything about the 24th Circuit judge. Like,
oh man, that's important.
Whatever. And then there's all these yes/no questions. There's like something about LA Community College and people that are going to be on the board. Like, what the fuck? Like. And then there's all the, you know, the ones that are important, the amendments. Those are the ones you really got to research.
But they always ask them in a way to where even if you just use common sense, it's hard to figure out which. It's like, do you support, if you were to say yes, then you're going to then think that it's okay for YMCAs to get funding for after school programs, but say no. And then you're like, wait, they use all these double negatives.
These are pretty good, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, the first one's about like women's, it's basically reproductive rights. It's like, if you're for women, yes. If you're not, no.
If you like chicks.
If for abortion, yes. Against it, no.
Click the thumbs up.
It's basically that. Now, there's 2 gambling ones on there. You've seen all these commercials?
Did that trigger you?
No, but have you seen all the commercials for these gambling amendments? You've had to see these commercials.
I think I heard some radio ads.
Duh, there's so many. Have you seen these, Louise? There's like gambling. No? There's 2 gambling. One of them is like so there's all these casinos in California. Some of them are tribal, like owned by the Native American, and then some of them are not. And there's a fight between the 2 of them about allowing ones that aren't Native American owned to like get more leeway to do more gambling, and then there's another one to have more gambling on your phone. In California, you can't gamble freely on your phone. You can do some gambling on your phone, but not like other states. But the first one is like basically a fight between different casinos. And you wouldn't see ads you could care less fucking about. It's casinos being like, this casino is blah blah blah, and then this casino. It's like fuck all you guys, and you're like, I don't give a like as a compulsive gambler, even as a gambler, it's like it's 2 casinos just whining about shit. Like,
the smear campaigns get so annoying, dude. See, I think that politics, everybody's platform should be, I'll improve your quality of life. And whatever that means to you, whether it's financially going to make your life better, whether it's I'm just going to make good leadership decisions and you don't have to stress out about it kind of stuff. Just quality of life is the answer to everything. And listening to people bitch about each other is the most
these are casinos.
Annoying thing to take away my quality of life that you can do. And just shove it in my face all day, every day. It's such part. It is the most broken part of our system, I think, the only way that you can, and it works. That's why they keep doing it.
Yeah, but these are casinos whining about shipping. And so you'll have like for the tribal.
It's like casinos, you're supposed to be cool.
The tribally owned ones, you'll have them like they're like standing on a mountaintop in the commercial, and they're like, this is us. They're trying to take away our money. We have nothing. We just live on this mountaintop. And
Humble.
It's like, go fuck your whole thing. Like, look, I know a lot of shit was taken away from, but you're doing fine now. You own a casino. Like, don't act like we've taken everything away. They're like, all we own is this tree and this mountaintop.
Bro.
And we make millions of dollars from all these poor people that live
When
up there.
I worked
addicts, but
when I worked in the car business in South Florida, the Seminole tribe peoples would come in and they would buy Hummers with like a leather bag full of cash. And I'd have to close the door and count it in front of them and have them sign the tax forms. And I'm thinking
they didn't even have those counter machines back then, right?
No, dude, they said these scary dudes too, man. It's like, and so I'm so intimidated. I'm like, if the number comes wrong, do I even tell them? Like, or do I just go, no, we're cool?
Yeah, that's what they're doing. And then the other people that aren't the tribal, they're like, look, hey, we're just some small timers here. We're just trying to make it work. We're like a card room. And it's like, fuck all of you guys up the ass.
Do you remember? Do you remember driving?
You enjoy that.
You remember driving back and forth from Captain Brian's Off the Hook Comedy Club in the middle of the night across the
of course,
the Everglades, and you'd always hear stories.
It's a 2-lane highway.
Yeah. People would say, "Don't get pulled over in the reservation
Miccosukee.
lands." Yeah, they'll like blackmail you and so. I'm like, I've never heard anyone actually. I've never heard that actually happen to anyone, but everyone would say, "Be careful about it."
Once you were in the Miccosukee land there, we used to do a lot of water quality sampling and like there in the areas there, like on the levees and stuff.
I love how so many of your stories start with you doing water quality samples.
We were in the Everglades there, and that a lot of that land there was like tribal.
Checking air quality over the bridges.
There's no Miccosukee, and so we'd have to go on some levee roads. We would have to go like cut around like areas, and we would drive under the speed limit areas because there was tons of cops there that were Miccosukee cops, and that's how they would generate a lot of income. I think once the casinos opened, they were more lax because they were like, we're doing fine. But the Miccosukees were making less money than the Seminoles because the Seminoles own all the Hard Rocks. Just so you know, the Seminole Indians are a tribe that are South Florida tribe, and they bought they had one casino in Florida, and now they own all of the Hard Rocks.
Yeah.
Not one, all of the Hard Rocks in the world, like the casino. So they are crushing it.
The one in Fort Lauderdale is insane now, too. They redid it, and it is like bonkers nice.
They're crushing life. Now, the Miccosukees own one casino, and it's on the corner of the Chrome and...
there's like illegal boxing there.
It's not a great casino. I've been in there before. It's like there's some shitty slot machines and whatever. They're still making money. People are still gambling there, so they're doing okay. But so they will still pull you over because I think that's a cash generator. They'll have airport rides. They have like a tourist thing there.
Pull you over, give you a ticket, and then they'll plug hey, Big Al's airboat rides right down the street. You should check it out.
Yeah, you can pay this ticket, or we'll give you $100 voucher here, free play.
Stop in for some gator bites.
Yeah. So,
you want to talk about voter fraud and just the system being not perfect and how when I hear everyone complaining about that and things that need to change, I think back to when I was in college and voting for the first time, and I didn't even notice it, but my wife tells the story. She's the one that noticed it. On the ballot, it says, write your address. And then under that, it says, if you don't have an address, draw a map to your house here.
Yeah.
Because there's people that lived out in the middle of the country, and I guess didn't actually have like postal codes.
Yeah.
So you just had to be like, go to the Lazy Bee, hang a right.
If you're homeless.
So then you draw like where you
can
sleep.
Still vote. You're allowed to vote if you're homeless.
So you just draw a map to where you're.
At that moment, yeah. This is where my tarp is. Here's where I shit in this bucket. There's people that are.
I feel strongly about Amendment 27.
There are some amendments for housing in there, by the way. There's a couple amendments for housing. There's a couple for like flavored tobacco products, not to be able to gear them towards kids. Now there's a dialysis one in there, and there's a lot of commercials for that too, where it's like, I need dialysis treatments. Vote yes, I'm 28, and I like looked it up, and it's like every election there's one of these. I'm like, what fuckhead is withholding dialysis treatments from kidney patients that every election we have to renew this? Like, what evil mastermind is like, every 4 years he's like, if I can get this through, I'm gonna become a millionaire.
This is the year.
And so I'm like, yeah, we want to keep giving these guys dialysis treatment. It's like 90,000 people in California or whatever that require
sneaking it through.
So I gave them, I guess, said yes to that.
Well, despite elections,
Yeah.
this is the best time of year.
Why?
Sports.
Oh, because it's all being played at once?
Yeah. You got baseball playoff, which is the only time baseball's worth paying attention to. You got the start of the NBA season, promise of your team having a great year.
Heat's 1 and 2.
Yeah, they went 0-2 to start the season. Then you're kind of in full swing of football. And then I think hockey's out there somewhere too. But
Yeah, by the time this comes out, the Heat will have some more wins. They play tonight. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. They'll be all right.
Hockey
I'm not
too.
panicking.
Well, don't even worry about. There's other stuff going on too. Like
High school water polo.
no, there's soccer. There's like if you're in the soccer is becoming huge in this country.
Soccer.
And,
We're gonna
I mean, soccer is huge in the world, but MLS is actually legitimate in this country now. It's
Yeah, we're gonna have
legitimate.
World Cup in like a month.
Yeah, the World Cup's later in the year. It's usually in the summer because it's in Qatar, whatever you want to say. It's in the winter because some talk about corruptedness should never have been there. So that's going to be in about a month. But MLS is legitimate in this country, and then Premier League is in full swing. And then what else? I watched F1 yesterday.
Oh, F1's getting to be a lot more mainstream. Yeah,
It was in Austin yesterday, which I was there a year ago. That's where I got COVID. This guy came up.
F1.
We were in Austin. We did a gig, and we went to like this kind of F1 party. It was going on a year ago, and we went to I was doing a gig with Jim, and we decided to venture out because we were keeping away from everybody because it was like Delta variant, and this guy comes up right in my face, like drunk, spitting on me or whatever, and I was like, yeah, that's it. And then I had COVID a week later, so that was my first time. Thank you, F1. But F1 is massive. It's like I was watching on TV. It's like every celebrity in the world was there. It's like this massive, it's gotten so big. So that's going on.
So when
My Achilles is hurting. It's about to pop.
Yeah. When we were kids, now there's a big giant NASCAR raceway down in Homestead. It's one of the nicest ones.
End of the year. It's
Yeah,
the final race.
it's where the Super Bowl is. Yeah. So there was a very humble track down there though back in the day, and they would do races every week, right? And my dad,
track.
my dad's company sponsored.
I'm just a regular old.
I just got this little casino over here.
Just a little old oval. Just don't go too fast.
Yeah, we'll all be all right. Show respect to each other. No, but we sponsored a car, so there was actually a Williamson Automotive NASCAR with the stickers all over it and everything.
Cadillac.
It probably had a Cadillac engine.
Those are the best for racing, as we know. 0 to 60 in 10 seconds, but you're comfortable.
At those levels, guys are happy to get whatever parts they can get. I'm pretty sure. Right. But it was cool, man. It was this dude. It was an older dude who was the driver, and I don't remember a lot about him, but in my memory, I picture him as a guy who's like chasing his dream to be a big time NASCAR driver, and he's just like kicking around the lower circuits, and he's like this is my last chance to get the big time, So he's just really going for it, and comes in, talks to my parents, like, I need a sponsor, and they're like, we believe in you. And then I'd show up every week and root for him, take a picture with him after. Mm-hmm. That's all I remember. That's all I got.
Did they win?
I don't know. I don't know if I ever actually really paid attention very much.
They didn't win. You'd remember. Yeah. You remember about your Fuddruckers picture and stuff. I can remember if they won a race.
Yeah.
Third quarter.
So all the sports are going on, and that excites you?
Yeah.
You got your Miami Dolphins gear on. They won.
I do. Night. Yeah. Dolphins were as of the time of this recording, the Dolphins wore their throwback uniforms last night, which looked dope. So I got all excited and I bought a bunch of throwback stuff. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. Tua was back.
Looked good. I think I bought tickets to see the Dolphins when they come out here in December to play the Chargers. And I'm thinking about maybe taking a little short jaunt back to Florida to catch a game, one of the home games.
Yeah. Is football your favorite sport?
Football or basketball. I like them both. Football would be the easy answer back in the day before all of my teams completely jaded me and the Miami Heat were just so awesome and such a pleasure to. I think in all businesses, right? In all businesses, obviously it starts at the top, but you see the difference between people who are confident in what they do, have plans, put good people around them, stay the course, weather when bad stuff happens, because it's going to inevitably, some stuff's out of your control, right? And that's how the Miami Heat run their franchise, like a good business. And then you see the Dolphins, and they've just like guessed and thrown stuff at the wall over and over again and panicked. And then they went, well, we'll just get celebrities to be owners, and that'll fix it, whatever. But now they finally, I think, by no merit to the owner, just kind of luckily got the right dude right now to kind of build around and bring some excitement and got some weapons. And I think we're fun again, but it's very lucky. I feel that way when I go into Home Depot. Like, I go into anywhere, and I just see, like, if someone's good at their job. I don't care what you do, man. If you, like, only make minimum wage or, you know, whatever it is you do for, you're a barista, whatever. If you give a shit, like, that matters so much to me now. If I go into Home Depot and I say, like, hey, man, can you tell me where to find this screw? And they go, oh, aisle 12. And I know I'm going to get to aisle 12, and I'm going to take me 10 minutes to locate what part of aisle 12, and then another 20 minutes to even find the specific screw. If that same dude goes, hey, man, let me walk you over there real quick. And he walks over, points at it. It took him 2 minutes, but he made such a big difference in my day because that guy gave a shit about doing his job well. That means so much to me. So, yeah, I think the Heat are going to turn it around. They'll be fine.
That's your analysis. Yeah, I don't football. I watch football, but I think you know how I feel about it.
Does that bother you, like,
Worse
as
than
much as it
sports.
bothers me?
What?
Customer service when you go somewhere?
Yeah, but I get it too. I'm just like, you know, this is you getting older and you want that too. But I also get that, like, people aren't getting paid a lot of money too sometimes. And so sometimes you're catching people on bad days too. So it might not reflect on just that's how that person is all the time, you know, because I've had shitty jobs where I've been really good at those jobs. And I've also had bad days in those jobs. So, like, I worked in a lot of restaurants, for instance, you know. And so I waited tables, but I worked in kitchens. I've washed dishes. I've bussed tables. I've done everything in a restaurant. Literally everything you can do in a restaurant I've done. And sometimes you're in there, and I've gone out to eat with people, and they'll be like, this fucking server sucks. They missed this, that, whatever. And I've just been like, they just might be having a bad day. And they might be a bad server too. But the person I'm with is always like, no, fuck that. They're not, blah, blah, blah. And they make a big stink about it. And you're like, nah, bro, you're working around, you know? And so sometimes I'll just let it slide because I'm like, who knows what's going on in their life? I mean, you know how hard this fucking job is to wait tables on people and stuff. So I just kind of let a lot of that slide.
All right, let me amend my verbiage.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not so much whether they're like the most amazing waiter ever or like the greatest at their job. Like I said, sometimes things are out of your control that comes out wrong in the kitchen. The thing that matters to me is that they give a shit.
Yeah.
That they're like, hey,
okay,
man.
Yeah, sure.
That they come over and go, guys, so sorry, man. Yeah, the kitchen messed it up. I'm gonna.
No.
I know it's an
let me
inconvenience,
tell you.
but I'm gonna swap it for you, man.
By the
Sorry
way,
about that. You know.
number one rule: you never blame it on the kitchen. Let me tell you that.
Oh, really? Like you're supposed to have
you
each
not
other's
worked in
back?
a lot of restaurants?
I don't think I've ever worked in the food industry.
Okay.
I worked in the food industry one time. When I was in college, they gave us the opportunity to run what do you call it? Concession stand at the football game to make money for our water polo team.
Yeah.
And we're like, dude, you can make a shit ton of money doing this, apparently.
What'd you sell? Funnel cakes?
Yeah, it was like hot dogs and sodas or whatever. I cannot tell you.
It's not really the food industry, but sure.
Yeah, but
Did you make the hot dogs?
yeah, we were doing everything. We were running a fucking concession stand. We were like,
You boiled them, or
I don't know. I think it was just like there, and you just take. But when you got that register in
hot dogs are
front of
just
you,
there? Yeah. Okay.
when you got that register in front of you, and there's people that are like, "Let's go." It's so hard to do simple math on the fly. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Imagine now you're in a restaurant and you're actually making real food, and tickets just keep coming
Yeah,
up
just
and
vroom,
coming up
vroom.
and coming up, and you're in the weeds, as I call it. You know, that's
I bet they have nightmares of just tickets going like.
yeah. And then there's staff, and when you're waiting tables, there's an art to coming back to the kitchen and approaching people in the kitchen. And if you don't know that art of how to talk to people in the kitchen, you will be hated. So
Bro.
that movie Waiting, by the way, which is a comedy, is
Dane Cook.
if you've never worked in a restaurant and you watch it, you might be like, yeah, pretty good. If you've worked in a restaurant, you're like, I forget who wrote that movie, but you're like, bravo, because it fucking nails working in a restaurant. Like, I mean, to a fucking, the front of the house, back of the house, and nails working in a restaurant. But let me just say right now, you never blame the kitchen. You never blame the kitchen, because I don't care if you're at an Applebee's, you're at a Michelin star rated restaurant, if you're at a mid-range, you know, you're just at the fucking Olive Garden or
Ooh, Olive Garden's good.
yeah, no, you don't blame the kitchen. You know why?
Because I'll spit in your food.
No.
I'm sorry.
Because when you come out to the table, the server always has to take it.
Yeah.
They always have to take it, even if it's not their fault.
You're the one that's on stage. You're front of house.
No, I'll tell you why. Because that person that's coming to the restaurant will come back if they know that the server fucked up. But if they think the kitchen fucked up, then psychologically, even if they don't know that, they might not come back because they'll be like, that they fuck, they're gross, they did this or whatever. That's, I mean, if they burn the food, yeah, they know it's gonna be the kitchen. But if it's like, if it's something else,
the waiter's like, that was my bad.
Yeah.
I threw it back on for you. And, it's probably a mistake looking back at it.
Yeah, but you try to take all the blame front of house that you can because the kitchen is what brings people back, because that's usually what is the cure-all. Is like people can wait a long time for their food and this and that, but if it comes there and it's really good, people will be like, all right, the food was good once we got it and whatever, All
right, so I have an analogy for that. I've never worked in a restaurant as a waiter or anything, but when I worked in the dealership and I moved over to service department, I was really nervous because I'm not mechanically inclined, right? But I think it, in the end, actually ended up helping me because I could relate to the customer a little bit more because he doesn't know anything about mechanics either. And also the mechanics, I didn't know whether they were putting me together or not putting me together or whatever. It's the same thing. Like the mechanics would be like the kitchen. Like you don't want to throw them under the bus because who wants to go get their car fixed at a place that's got shitty mechanics,
Yeah.
So then the mechanics always try to there's probably things that you could put off till next time, but they want to tell you like, hey, it'd be irresponsible not to tell you like, hey man, your brakes are at 70%. You could probably wait another couple months, but you can get them done now, or you could wait and get a little bit more life out of them. But they at least present it, So there was so many times that the mechanics probably were putting stuff on there, and then I was going up to the front and I was like, hey, this belt sounds really serious. And they were like, are you serious? And I go, I don't know what the belt does, but it seems like that's pretty important. And then they're like, yeah, you're right. I should probably get that done. And so I would sell so many things on the ticket, probably just because I genuinely thought, whereas someone who was like a real smart with mechanics would have been like, you could probably wait a month or two, I was just being.
So you're a stupid guy?
Yeah, I was stupid, but I think it worked in my favor. Right. But I'll tell you what I did well.
Do you think a lot of your old customers are going to listen to this podcast and be like, this fucking guy?
No, I'll tell you what I did well.
Who's listening to this podcast anyways? 5 people? We'll go to the comments later. Thank you for listening, 5 people.
I always respected the mechanics and supported the mechanics, just like you're saying is important with the kitchen. And I think that got them excited about working and doing a good job. And, I'd come back and I'd tell them about the customer.
You think they talk shit after you left, though?
Oh, probably. I was the boss's kid. Yeah,
fucking gingerhead coming over there. Yeah, fucking white boy gringo.
This guy thinks he comes.
Does anyone want a coffee con leche? Do you guys know what that is?
Hey, blackada.
Hey, people really like the phone calls. And by people, just a couple people that.
Should we make it a segment? Should we just call people?
We need a phone number. No, we can't always call, but people can call in too. How do we make a phone number?
Who should I call?
Do we make a Google phone number?
You could do it through Google, yeah.
How long does that take? Can you do that during this podcast right now?
I could try.
All right, Luis is doing it right now. We're going to have a phone number for the Mermen podcast by the end of this podcast.
Fourth quarter.
Do we have any new comments?
What if
we got a few.
All right.
Got a couple.
Let's hear them.
A couple new reviews as well.
Reviews, comments.
But yeah, there was people commenting on this recent episode just saying...
Which one? Call a Cuban?
Yeah. They were just confirming it is called a cafetera.
Oh, okay.
John Vieira says the smaller cafeteras are called cafeteritas.
That's my friend. That's my friend who we called.
Oh, okay.
He said not to read that because then it's going to sound like he's like up our ass. But
sorry.
I don't know. Whatever. We did it.
Yeah, get out of my ass.
Yeah, stop listening to our podcast, John. Already.
We got a couple more reviews.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one called. It says entertaining, and I don't know if you guys will like this one because it's kind of like an underhanded one.
Oh, it's a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Entertaining, 5 stars, but it says a fun and entertaining podcast, some good stories and laughs. Forrest and Dave share stories from their life. If you want an even better podcast, listen to the Unsolicited podcast with Tommy, Jack, and Kelly. Now that is a great podcast.
Oh my god!
You know who that is?
No, who's that?
Jack and Kelly Zabilski. Do you know Kelly? She's on the. I don't know about that podcast.
Oh yeah.
and Jack Hackett.
Oh yeah.
And Tommy Capri. I don't know if you know Tommy. He was a producer on the Jim Jeffries.
They have their
show.
own podcast.
They have their own podcast. So it sounds like
war.
it sounds like somebody like
We have a nemesis.
Yeah. So you can listen to both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then we got last week we had.
And we agree with you. Theirs is a better podcast.
Oh my god, it's been going on for years.
Yeah,
They probably have 200 episodes out now.
Probably, yeah.
They've been doing it for a while.
Can we spend the rest of
I'm
this
not saying don't listen to their podcast. It's fun. Yeah.
Can we spend the rest of this podcast listening to their podcast?
Let's put on some unsolicited.
There's one more, and I know last week we came in hot with Forrest praise, but immediately just we did a flip. We did a flipperoo.
Mm-hmm.
So this one says, just a suggestion.
Get rid of Forrest.
Well, it says, big fan of Dave. Forrest, not so much. Dave's voice is soothing. Forrest makes me want to drive my car into a lake. Maybe the podcast would be better with just Dave.
Yeah.
Sorry to do that to you on the air, but
I think that's our first negative comment. And, it's only negative for you. Thanks, listener. Well, who's that guy's name?
it says...
I wrote that one. I did. I wrote that and sent that to Louise at the beginning. To make you feel
No, you did not.
I did.
You're a liar.
Let me get you my phone right now, and I'll show you that I wrote that.
Forrest's voice, baby.
Here, look. I sent that to Louise. I said something.
Big fan of Dave. Forrest, not so much. Dave's voice is soothing. Forrest. Damn it. I thought someone... You should have let me go for a little bit longer on that.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was loving it.
Yeah. I was going to really ham it up.
I think that was enough. I think it was a good crash.
Well, you've totally compromised the integrity of our comments now. 'Cause now I'm going to question all of them. What are you, just like Kevin Durant with a hacker account, just leaving comments?
Nah, I came in here early and I said, I just had a funny idea in the car on the way here. I was like, let's just shit on myself. And the other ones, I didn't write any of the other ones.
Yeah, I like it, man. Just keep those Dave compliments coming. One thing I like, it's a good ego boost.
He was cheersing the camera with his coffee.
I know. He's like,
Hey, I did it.
yeah. At the beginning of the podcast, he's like, I want to give you a hug. I like seeing you, whatever. And then this guy's like, get rid of Forrest. Like, what
You son of a bitch.
Only one merman.
I finally got rid of him.
Forrest Shaw.
Oh, man.
Michael Biamonte, voice of the Miami Heat.
Let me tell you, I don't know what the Heat's record is now. They was 1-2 as a recording list, but they're playing Toronto tonight.
Again, we just played Toronto.
Yeah, they're doing a weird thing this season where they play like back-to-back games in the same building. Like, so they've been partying in Miami for 2 nights. So I don't think Toronto's gonna play. But it is fun to watch the Heat. I have the NBA package, so I watch the feed, and I hear Michael Biamonte's voice, and I'm like, hey, that's from our podcast.
Yeah, man.
He's like in the building, it's like, it's like, oh shit, we got him on our fucking.
He's the best, dude.
Awesome.
Do you remember Dr. Jack Ramsey?
Of course, yeah.
He
passed away, right? I don't know. Jack Ramsey.
I mean, I'd be amazed if he had. He's so old.
Louis, can you look up if Jack Ramsey,
Dr. Jack Ramsey,
Dr. Jack Ramsey, see if he's alive. But he used to do color.
He's an old school
with Eric Reed, who's still the play-by-play, right? Yeah,
very well-known basketball personality. And
I think he was the coach of the Portland Trailblazers at one point.
Yeah,
right?
he coached a lot of places.
Yeah,
Died 2014.
He died in 2014.
Yeah.
Man, every broadcast he sounded like he was already a Scotch deep. And the best was pregame.
Well, he was old, so his
I know.
voice was a little wavering. He was like a little, hey.
But he was the best. He'd be like, Dr. Jack's keys to the game.
Yeah.
Rebound. It's like, get the ball to our best players. If you're not our best players, get out of the way. This has been South Florida Kia's Dr. Jack's keys to the game.
No, what he was awesome was he was announcing back when we had like Zoe, PJ Brown, Bashan Leonard, Tim Hardaway. And when we had Tim Hardaway, he'd have little sayings. Tim Hardaway would he'd go this away, that away, Hardaway.
Yeah, you know what it was? It was around the same time that like Dickie V was getting popular.
Yeah.
And Dickie V's like, diaper dandy. He's a sophomore from and like spitting poetry. And Dr. Jack would be like, stocking stuffer.
Yeah, he'd say that. No, my favorite one was Vashawn Leonard. Was this
Leonard?
Yeah, Leonard. He'd say it like that. He'd go Leonard, like that. He'd hit a three and he'd just go Leonard.
Well, the guy's name's actually I think Vashawn Leonard, and he'd go Leonard.
No, he would hold it though. He'd go Leonard.
Yeah, it was a good one.
It was great when you're high. I used to get really blasted.
The other one was
watching games.
we had Matt Geiger, and when he would dunk the ball, he'd go Geiger counter.
He was, he looked kind of like a real life Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
Totally.
But like if Mr. Burns was a good person, like a guy you'd be like, I want to go hang out with that guy, not like an evil guy. You'd be like, a good Mr. Burns. Yeah,
Dr. Jack was the best, bro.
Yeah, Dr. Jack.
I just remember.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I remember those.
2014. He's been dead a while.
I remember being a kid and just listening to Eric Reed and Dr. Jack, and that was just like the soundtrack. And then Mad Dog Mandich for the Dolphins game was pretty great too.
The guy that does play-by-play on the radio for the Heat, I don't know his name. You know what I'm talking about?
Is it Crotty?
Crotty? No, Crotty's on air now. He took over Dr. Jack. But
I do know the guy. I can't think of his name. I do know the guy who does
Crotty
the radio.
used to do color on the radio. John Crotty, who was a guard for the Heat. And the guy that does play-by-play, God, now you know what? It's Jason Jackson, I think, does play-by-play. But there used to be a guy that did play-by-play for the Heat, and he was such a homer.
Yeah, totally.
It'd be like the third quarter. They'd be down by 10. He'd be like, well, this game's over.
Yeah.
I'm like, geez, dude. It's
But
like
he had such a professional voice, it sounded out of place. So he'd be like, the Heat coming up the court, it's, we're down 6. Should be up if it wasn't for these refs.
And I'd be like, well, I
coming out
guess we
left
can
field.
go home now
Yeah.
because, hey.
Boy,
Yeah.
the effort's there. It's just not going into the basket because they obviously rigged it.
I think he's gone now. I think Jason Jackson does play-by-play. I don't know. He maybe a year or two. But there was one time Crotty was doing color, and man, play-by-play is very hard. Even if you're not in the sports, just to actually, if you're on the radio, to be any sport, to be giving play-by-play is very difficult. And for whatever reason, his mic cut off one time, and then Crotty had to do play-by-play for like 5 minutes, and it was a disaster. He was like, okay, he's got the ball, he's going, and it was just like, and this is a professional basketball player who knows the game,
Yeah.
is a radio guy too, and it was not good.
And then
falling apart, Crotty.
my homie Jonathan Zaslow has been doing a lot of the pre-game, post-game, and halftime show stuff for the Miami Heat for years and years and years. And he just got let go by the station. So now
I'm gonna bring that up, dude.
well, I just thought it was interesting. He went to the game last night and took his son to the game and sat in the stands as a fan for the first time in over a decade. That had to be like a crazy experience.
That'd be sad.
Well, I mean, sad, but it's also like he's going to be fine. Like, he's a talented guy. He'll be all right.
What's
And
he gonna do?
I don't know. You want me to call him and ask him?
No.
We'll wait till we get our phone number.
Yeah. Do we have a phone
He'd
number
be
yet?
a great guy to call and talk to, man.
I forgot I was supposed to be doing that.
Yeah. Come on, dude. What are you over there on? He's fucking Tinder. Is Tinder?
Louis.
Do people even do Tinder now?
Luis Castillo.
What dating app are you on, Luis?
I literally have every single one, including
Every single one.
Which one works the best?
None of them. None of them.
Was there one for young Hispanics?
There is. I have 2 of those.
What is it called?
Chispa is one,
Chispa?
and that just means spark.
Yeah.
Is
the
there
other
one called Ja Ja Ja? Is there one called Que tal?
There's another one called Mi Gente, my people.
Oh, hey. Which one do you get the most action on?
Probably Chispa, but
Chispa?
yeah, but it's a lot of cholas. There's a lot of. They all have the same eyebrow technician. I think. It's a lot of Sharpie eyebrows. On
You can't tell if they're intrigued or uninterested. They just all have the same facial expression from their eyebrow.
Yeah.
Do you now when you're dating, do you want to date a Hispanic woman, or you don't care?
I'm not picky, but I don't know. It's convenient if they could talk to abuelita, you know.
Oh yeah,
But I'm actually
you bring home a white girl, it's about because you just for everybody listening to podcasts, I've been to Luis has how many functions a year do you have within your family? Between birthday parties, anniversaries, whatever else 50 a year, you think, within your family?
In my immediate family, there's 6 of us kids.
Yeah, but
plus 2 parents, so that's 8 birthdays, 8 parties.
I know,
a year.
but there's uncles.
Yeah,
I feel like
uncles.
you always have something going on. There's always some sort of something you're going
I think
some function.
50 is like an easy.
Yeah. There's always something going on.
So no, I don't mean this.
So if you bring a white girl to that,
Might be culture shock.
really?
yeah. I came.
No,
What?
That was fine.
I came to his sister's birthday party, and I brought my cousin who is white, but was married to her husband of her 2 children is Mexican. So she felt right at home. She goes, I've been in a million of these. I was dizzy.
What percentage of those parties that you guys have a mariachi band at them?
Well, yeah, we should learn Dave on the difference between the bands. He doesn't even know, and our listeners.
There's mariachi, there's banda, there's norteño, there's different groups.
Yeah.
It depends on the occasion.
You dummy.
What percentage of the parties have one of those bands at the party?
1,000.
No, it's more for special occasions, like a big anniversary or a wedding or a quinceañera, or let's say like a big.
The other ones you guys just put Pitbull on shuffle.
His sister's birthday party had a banda.
That was fun. And that's because she turned 25.
Shakira.
Banda's big. It's a big band, right?
Yeah.
You know, so the banda's the big with the horns.
They got the tubas.
Yeah.
They got the clarinets, all that stuff. Mariachi is more strings and
smaller, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I always look at, you know what I look at when any live entertainment? So mariachi is, what was the other? Mariachi, banda, and then norteña, you said?
Yeah, that's accordion, guitar, and bass.
Like a good accordion. Yeah. And then what was the other one? Norteña?
Norteña, I mean, there's a lot of subcategories.
But mariachi is the smallest, more compact.
No, I mean, no, you could get some big because it's like they'll.
When I
do
think of
like,
mariachi bands, I don't think small and compact.
No, the banda, there was like, okay. How many people were there? 12 in the banda?
anywhere from
Because
like,
there was women that would get up once in a while and they would sing. Yeah. I would, as a performer, entertainer, I always look and I'm dividing up how much they're getting paid immediately. I'm like, I'm calculating what I think they get paid divided by how many people. And I'm like, nah. I'm already out. That's why being a comedian is great. That's why I always look at these dual acts, these twin brothers, and never any twin sisters that are comedians. It's always twin brothers.
Oh, that's a good point. I never thought of that.
Yeah. But there's some 2 acts like women, like Garfunkel and Oates. Those are 2 women and stuff. But when I look at those acts, I'm like, how do you never heard of them?
No. I think I know what you're talking about.
But I always look down. I'm like, you got to divide the money up twice. That must suck starting out.
I would just maybe think of this random memory where when we were in Vancouver Island, Victoria, doing shows, and we rented bikes, and we were all going around on the bikes, and Bert and I got split up from the rest of the group, right? Because they went the wrong way, and so there was these 2 old ladies trying to pay for their parking at the thing, and they couldn't figure out the little computer to pay for parking, and so they looked over at Bert and they were like, "Could you please help us?" So Bert came over and he took his time and he helped them and he punched it in or whatever. And they were like, "Can I give you a hug?" And it was the sweetest thing ever, right? And then the other one looked over at me and looked at Bert and looked at me and goes, "Are you guys twins?" And I go, "Yep." And she goes, "I knew it." She goes, "I'm the mother of twins. I can always spot them." But I go, first of all, twins are not usually hard to spot. Second of all, I can't believe you think me and Bert are twins.
She's got special skill. Not a lot of people can spot twins.
Yeah, it's tough.
Do we have a phone number?
we could get one, but if we want a custom like 1-800 Mermen whatever, I think we'd have to pay for it.
Oh, how much does that cost?
It's probably a monthly thing. I don't know.
Oh, really? Yeah. How much is a free one?
Free.
Yeah.
Wait,
I don't know
free
why
one is free?
I almost didn't know the answer to that
I
question.
know. Yeah, that's trick.
It's quite the brain teaser.
It's a trick question. All right.
It's also number 12 on your ballot if you guys vote in the local elections.
Yeah.
Keep free phone numbers free. Draw a map to your house.
Didn't you have more voting thing you said? Wasn't there a voting thing you wanted to say?
Oh, about drawing the map. That was it.
I also don't.
Sorry, did I disappoint you?
I don't know if you guys want to talk about Halloween. This episode does come out on the actual day.
Son of a bitch, Louis.
How much time do we have left?
We're at 49.
I got to go soon.
Yeah, we got to go.
Fuck.
Hey.
That's what
Check
we're
the
sitting
razor
here.
blade. Check the
Louis,
razor
an hour
blades.
ago, we're sitting here going, "What do you want to talk about today?" We're like, "I don't know, voting. I just voted."
I don't want to interrupt the magic.
That's when a producer would have been really helpful if you said, "This one comes out on Halloween."
Well, it comes out on Halloween.
Fuck.
Well, yeah, you can edit all this out. We're recording tomorrow. You can do that one for Halloween.
Oh, yeah. Let's just flip them.
Yeah, we'll edit all this
Good work,
part out.
Luis. All right. Yeah, I should go. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Thank you to everyone who came out to the Bakersfield Comedy Club called The Well Comedy Club. I'll tell you what, this kid who bought that place, not a kid, he's an adult. And he's actually a funny comedian too. His name's Daniel Betts. And he's going to crush it there, man.
He bet on himself.
He did. He bet on himself.
Yes, he did.
And then he voted for it on the amendments to the casinos. It's a cool place, man. He's going to do really well there. And he's a good dude. And so if you're in the Bakersfield area, go check him out. And then hopefully I'll be back before too long. Oh, that's my alarm. I got to go.
What's that?
I got to go coach a water polo team. I got to go coach a water polo game. So, best thing that I know it's November now. In December, I'm going to be all up in Florida. So, I am going to do Orlando Improv. I'm going to do Side Splitters in Tampa. Probably had a few more dates. Come see me, DaveWilliamson.com, at Dave W. Comedy on Instagram and all the social medias.
If you came out to the Ventura Harbor Comedy Club, I was not there.
I told you.
I put a thing out there. If you bought a ticket, DM me. Send me a message. I'll get you a matcha latte. Iced matcha latte or a hot one. So far, nobody's DM me, which is pretty sad. I don't think anyone in the Ventura area likes me in comedy, so we'll see.
It's probably because of your soothing voice.
Forrest.net. Got dates coming up.
Thanks for listening to our Halloween episode last week.
For they are the mermen.